welcome to Gallifrey's Most Wanted. I'm Ross Aiken. I'm Old Who.
My name is Melvin Pena. I represent You Who.
And I'm back from the dead.
Yes. First piece of business is Jeff is back on a Gallifrey's Most Wanted since, oh my God, the episode before the last Flux, because that's when I took my break.
It was November last year.
Yeah. We didn't even get to the end of the Flux. One day I'm going to do a Flux recap, Jeff, and you're going to come on and we're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not force me, but give me a good damn reason to sit and watch that beautiful thing straight through. Let's get started. We're here to talk about the Giggle, the final of the 60th anniversary specials. And there, as Melvin said, there's a lot to talk about. So I'm going to let's first go just general opinions. Did you like it? Okay, real quick, and then we'll go back around and hit those interesting moments or things we want to talk about. So we're going to start with Melvin.
Very briefly, I loved it. I love a good hard reset. I feel like after 18 years or whatever of New Who, it's time for an end to the Time War, an end to suffering and grief, and as a motivating factor, and let's get on with having new, fun, crazy-ass adventures. I'm all for it. I loved it.
All right, Jeff, what did you think?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I have a few little niggles with some of the structure of it, and the way it all came together on screen, but the whole by generation, love that. And I've got lots of reasons why I love that as well.
I've already started doing fan wank theories in my head about things already. It's already started. I really, really enjoyed it. It like Jeff, I have little niggles, and they're niggles I have with Davies throughout his time on Who. Things he does, his little ticks. Sometimes they hit. First view, they didn't hit. Second view, I didn't care. But overall, I loved it. It was fun. It had what I want, everything I want in Doctor Who. It was light. It was funny. It was full of joy, and there were a couple moments that were creepy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Moffat guy. I want that weird, creepy shit, and they gave me a little bit of that, but they kept the level up, and overall, I really enjoyed it.
If you don't mind if I hop in real quick to just carry on that idea, one of the things that that Russell T. Davies gets criticism for throughout fandom is the escalating nature of the season finales, like how you go from like one impossibly big scenario to the next impossibly big scenario. But what you just said is that this was light and fun. Like on the whole, there was crazy. There was enough crazy stuff to go around, but that was part of the reset. Was like, this is. We're going as big as we can, and then we're going to bring it all the way back down. And like the stakes felt small or manageable in a way that Davis finales don't usually. And I found that very comforting in a weird way.
Yeah, he didn't kill. I mean, he didn't know it wasn't about death and maudlin. And I like that. I want that sometimes in a story. But it was refreshing to see it ended on a really happy note for everybody.
And that's the other part of it, is that there's a constant conversation throughout the fandom about how companion departures or how doctors, their last words. And I was just so, again, pleased and comforted and reassured that there were neither in here. No companion departed, and there was no death. I for the doctor. Like, those are two things that I'm glad to be rid of, at least for this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my list. I really liked that. I mean, I got the bi-generation was fun. The giant mallet.
Mm-hmm. Loved that. Yes. That was very Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was very cartoon. Those were all little great moments. Jeff, what were some of your little niggles? I mean, what were the things? Let's get rid of the niggles and then go into. Let's get all our little things out of the way.
I think
exactly.
Yeah, I think the way the main threat, the Toymaker, was wrapped up felt very just. It had no real impact or weight or anything to it, which is a shame, because I think bizarre German accent aside, Neil Patrick Harris was really good and actually filled the role in a manner befitting the character and someone of Michael Gough's presence.
Yeah, he did.
I think he did an excellent job. German accent aside, God, that felt very hello to me.
Yeah, it did. It was, but that's what I like. It's when the guy goes, "I think your accent slipped a little," because it was it was very Sergeant Schultz. It was very Hogan's Heroes.
I wonder how our German fellow fans felt about.
It's how I feel about the gunfighters.
Exactly, yeah. It's that exact same thing, isn't it? It's bad American accents in Doctor Who. But I felt it lacked the way, and it felt very much like they were rushing to get rid of the Toymaker to move on to getting rid of the Doctor. In their two separate divergences.
That's a good catch.
Which is fine, because that was Russell's intent with the story as a whole. But if you're going to have someone as scene-stealing as Neil Patrick Harris, as a true threat from the Doctor's deep, murky mists of time, then just folding them up into a box, it just felt a little lacking. I'm interested to see the hints that have been laid about a bigger bad.
Yeah,
coming.
And then he said some stuff about there'll be more godlike aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I like that because those are always my favorites. I love it when they pop up. So
I wish we'd seen the Voodoo Doll Guardians. Mm-hmm. I wish we'd seen them. Because I love the Guardians, because I'm an 80s kid, and that's
I do too.
Doctor Who for me. So yeah, it was interesting. But other than that, it felt very rushed. It could have had an hour and a half and felt a bit more fleshed out. And we could have focused more on the chaos that was ensuing down at street level, because you felt very removed from that after the initial scene.
You never see it again. You don't. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Russell's big tight on that 60-minute format. I've noticed that. He teased that, it wasn't enough for 60 minutes. It's 61 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he is, and it's just, and what I thought was great is because he is such just a TV writer. This is someone who does not want to write anything other than television. It's all he's ever wanted to do was be a TV writer in a lot of ways. Yeah. And that the creation of television is part of it. I thought that was cool. I like it when an historical. I like an historical. Doctor Who could always be in the past, and I would be a happy camper.
Oh, I saw a picture of Baird, John Logie Baird, for the first time today, and they did really well.
He did.
Exactly like the,
he did. I was on Wikipedia looking at the studio. Man, he created color television in 1926.
Bonkers.
Because the BBC, what I had to tell my wife is I forgot that BBC television started in 1928.
Which is nuts when you think
nuts,
about it.
I mean, no one had a television, and then they turned it off during the war.
Yeah.
So, but I knew that was my only tidbit about the history of television. I didn't realize that it was another Scot, thank you, invented something, that kind of made me a little proud. So, but no, I love it. I loved the historical part. But like Jeff, I do think we should have seen more of what was going on. I love we saw Trinity Wells. I didn't catch it the first time. But
I think if we'd have just had snippets back to it escalating.
Yeah, little news clips in the back like he used to. They only take 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah. And that I feel like is the shorthand that helps us get from one part of the episode to the next, is that you go back to 1920, like that everything starts in 1925, so that when you get to 2023, you basically get the idea that this has been happening for the history of television. So that allows you the shorthand of not having to show you what's happening at ground level, because it's easy to imagine that in the course of how many ever years that is, 100, almost 100 years, 98 years, that it's been happening gradually over time. Now, Ross, what are your nitpicks? Because we get to mine, then we got to get to the good stuff.
Okay, my nitpicks is as much as I love the bifraction of the Doctor, it took me a moment because I went, wait a minute, you already did this. You already, in my mind, it went right back to where Rose gets her
Journey's End.
Journey's End, yeah. I was like, you've done this. And then I was like going, no, you haven't done this, because he really did something with regeneration. What makes me love the bigeneration is that it's a happy regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
When was there ever a happy one?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We don't have to wait until Christmas for shooting. We get a good 15, 20 minutes of him.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the baton passed. He becomes the hero in the last 10 minutes. It's, no, I got this. We got this taken care of. So that niggle falls into it, and there was the tooth falling out and the hand.
I loved that.
Oh, I do. I niggled and I was like going, oh, cool. Wait a minute. He did that too again. But why do I love it? Because the master.
He did that before. That is like a reference to a Hartnell story and a Baker story.
That's what that
is now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And you got to hear all the masters, or the good, all the TV masters, except didn't have Delgado, which surprised me.
Well, he wasn't the mental chuckler, was he? He was much more staid.
Yeah, he did not have a ha laugh like. No.
Not like Ainley.
No, Ainley
chuckle.
Yeah, Ainley had a good.
Maybe it was just buried in the mix.
Yeah, I love a good ha. I do. I like a good maniacal laugh, but those were about it. I forgot how I really do love the Davies era. It's got a lot of light moments, but this was really. The energy level of this was so good. The stuff in the Toymaker's shop and world, I love that. That was kind of my favorite bit. Favorite bit.
Before we move on, because we're still on nitpicks.
Oh,
have you concluded your nitpicks?
Yeah, that's pretty much right. Okay, what are your nitpicks?
Look at that marshalling. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, no, well,
keeping us on track. Keeping us on track. Because I gave him a time limit.
We've got a limited time, so I want to make sure we get everything in. And I know Ross can go off on tangents, which is great usually. It's fun. It's one of the.
That was literally every single one of our recordings.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to say that out loud.
No, both of us. We're both as guilty.
No, I get it. Me too. So my only nitpick, and again, this is a very small nitpick for me, is that we had a lot of fan outrage over the last couple weeks about. Oh, Moffat, or not Moffat, sorry. That's a default. Or I was going to say Chibnall also. That's also a default. RTD is ignoring the history of the show. We're not getting past doctors. Like, that was the one nitpick I had about this, is that we dove too much into the past. Like, the whole puppet show with Amy and Clara and Bill, like, it sort of slowed everything down, sort of to catch everyone up, which I get it. I get that serves a purpose. Or the little flashbacks everyone was so excited about in 4K of seeing William Hartnell and Alfred from Batman 89. Like, I get it, but that for me slows the story down. So that's really and again, if that's my only nitpick, is that they acknowledge the history of the show, then that is a very small nitpick.
See, I kind of like the puppet show because it really does show you a tick of New Who that is got really repetitive. Everybody has a tragic exit. It got fucking boring.
Yeah.
I mean, it really fucking did.
And that's the thing is, I liked it too. But it's also my like those two things can coexist. Like, it is my nitpick because it slowed the story down, but it is also I also really liked it.
The scenic designer and theater director part of me I loved it because fuck reality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be in a real place for it to feel real. I felt real terror for them because the first thought I thought about when they walk into that hallway and then every door led back to the exact same hallway, it gave me a little anxiety thing. Like I've got there's a dream I've always had since I was a little kid about being in a building and I can't get out. It's a reoccurring nightmare I've had, and COVID and work caused me to have more nightmares where I get so my anti-anxiety medicines to make me sleep because I have bad dreams, and that is a fucking horrible nightmare I hate. And imagine, because you would wander forever. You know, what if they can't find a way? So that beautiful design work, absolutely stunning. The giant puppeteer, I loved it. You know, him telling her to go back to the TARDIS and her going, "You have never said that. We're fucked." So.
And the toy shop, I feel, reinforces that also, because it's very claustrophobic. Because there are just, it's like you can't turn without it just feels like they are so cooped up whenever they're inside that toy shop. Because again, really, it's like everything is, it's a plenitude. Like there's something literally everywhere, and like doll face. Like I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that scene and just like pause it every couple seconds, because like there were weird doll faces everywhere, and it's just unless you're paying attention to it, like why would you want to pay attention to that? Because it is a nightmarish place to be. Yeah. But it's so full.
Exactly how I imagined the toy shop that Charlie meets the Toymaker in Big Finish. It's almost exactly the same place. So that made me really happy.
So now I got to go back and listen to those, because I just bought 2 Paul McGann Blue Big Finish this morning. And Charlie's in one of them, the Christmas one.
Yes.
So
it's a brilliant set, by the way.
Yeah. I only bought the one with them.
Yep.
I'll buy the rest later. I'm broke. But but no, I did that. That is something I really liked. That was stunning, and I did like and the creepy when Donna's in the room with the wife puppet and the 3 baby puppets. Yeah. That was a scene that I think he out-Moffated Stephen Moffat for creepy. Yeah. I think that's creepier than the fucking angels. I think it's creepier than a crack on the wall that sucks you erases you from history. You know?
There were 5 of us watching it in my living room last night, and that's the scene that got a reaction. Well, this is creepy as reaction out of 4 out of the 5 of us in the room. And there was me sitting there with a big grin on my face, like, this is what I love about Doctor Who.
It was a very
exactly
moment.
To that point, one of the great things about this episode is that the various scenes that are put together as sort of the episode of the Giggle is that you get a sort of like, it's one of the things that it was my nitpick, was that they go into the history of the show, but you're actually getting the best parts of the history of the show. And like in that particular sequence, it is the Doctor and the companion get separated and have have their own sort of crazy adventures. And
running
exactly
down corridors.
What you're saying, Jeff. Like it is absolutely, they bring it down to basics, which is like, we're on our own in a place that we don't understand, and we are being threatened by like creepy puppets. Like there's nothing more, as you said, there's nothing more Doctor Who than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Do you know what? It's really funny. I was watching it, and there are no immediate parallels you can make between these 2 stories, but the Giggle and the Web Planet, to me, stand out as Doctor Who stories that are really pushing the boundaries of where the show is at that given moment in time. And so I was thinking, why does this remind me of the Web Planet? There's no breeping insects or anything, but it is the show pushing its own boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's why it reminded me of that.
You know,
same with the Mind Robber. Same with, it's all of these classic stories that I have an affection for were just springing to mind all the way through the episode. I'm incredibly grateful for that, because it's made the 14th Doctor one of my favourite Doctors, whereas most people know I have a massive dislike of the 10th Doctor. But he's everything that the 10th Doctor wasn't. He's sincere, he's genuine, his trauma is truly earned at this point. It never felt truly earned at the 10th Doctor's point, because we hadn't seen the Time War, we hadn't seen snippets of that, we hadn't filled in those blanks. So his trauma felt unearned at the time, Whereas for the 14th Doctor, it feels very sincere, very genuine, and I see a lot of Jodie's Doctor in it.
Yeah, yeah.
I see a lot of that weight.
Yeah, and I want to jump in and say something because Jeff knows. I think anybody who's listening to this podcast knows how much I fucking love the Mind Robber and Web Planet. I think Web Planet is a masterpiece. They didn't give a crap, and they said let's do it, and I think it's a good story, and for the time, it's amazing. It is really outside the box, and Jeff brings up a good point about that too, because I'm a lover of the Enlightenment is a story I love.
Yes.
Mind Robber I love because of the bigger Guardian. Can you hear me? With the those Eternals, and the Guardians. Those are villains and characters I like, but they're always in Old Who and the Gods of Ragnarok, just a human being or a person in a costume. They're never frickin' godlike. But now with modern technology, they said, let's make him a god. So it wasn't flying John Sims Master kind of big or whatever. It was puppeteer, turning the two dudes to balls. And to Jeff's point about 14, the way he interacts with Kate after she's turned her device off, and is traumatized by what she's just been made to say, and he goes, "It's okay." The 10th Doctor would have been flippant and tried to buck her up. You know what I mean? He would have tried to oh, that's okay, sport, we're going to be good. But this was like, I understand your trauma, and I love that.
Now, I want to pick up on what both of y'all have just been talking about, because one of the great things I feel like this episode, and Wild Blue Yonder also, because I think last week, Ross, we talked about like how bizarre and out there it was, and how weird some of the visuals are, and to go into what Jeff is talking about and those comparisons with the Web Planet. Again, there may not be, or the Mind Robber, like there may not be any like thematic elements that are similar, but I think one of the things that that we've gotten bogged down in the 18 years of New Who is this this idea that science fantasy television has to have a sort of basis in reality, yes. and I feel like one of the things that RTD has come back to do is untether us from that, and it's not necessarily it was a bad thing, because I feel like New Who came out of like people who like the X-Files or people who like Buffy, and this was the sort of thematic propulsion of these shows, is that this is crazy stuff that's happening to real people. And I like the idea that RTD can come in this new 14th Doctor era, and especially like ushering us into the Shooty era, and say anything is possible again. Like we can go into bizarre, like nothing has to obey physical laws. We can have fun with fantasy again. And I am 100% for that.
Yeah,
and I think that is absolutely a tie to the Web Planet and stuff like that, where in the 60s anything was possible.
But that's because in the
we've
60s,
gotten tethered to reality.
Everyone kept in mind that initial brief of forwards, backwards, and sideways in time. And I think we drifted away from that, apart from on the odd occasion. But that sideways in time is just as important as the forwards or the backwards.
Yeah.
And it takes us out of limitation. It takes us beyond limitation. The only limitation we have then is imagination. And that's what I've always loved about Doctor Who is that sometimes you take these little side steps and you go, this isn't a universe I recognise. This isn't anything I can. How am I meant to deal with this? And therefore, how is the Doctor and companions meant to deal with this?
And that's why I think those are some of my favorite stories. Web Planet and Mind Robber are two. Honest, I think Mind Robber may be my favorite Second Doctor story, because it's just out of this world. They're walking around inside typeface, battling comic book characters. It's freaking weird.
And that's one of the sort of things that has become sort of comfortable and familiar and a little bit limiting about the run of Modern Who from 2005 to now, is that the Doctor is always that's the thing that they chastise each other for in the hallway in the Toymaker's domain. He's like, I always know what's going on. Like, this is what I love about Doctor Who, is when the Doctor is on his back foot, when he has no idea what's going on, when he has to make it up as he goes along. And, like, again, to have that, we saw it very briefly in episodes like y'all were saying, the Can You Hear Me? You see it very briefly in, like, It Takes You Away, when he's talking to the frog in the chair. Like, again, where can we go that we haven't been, where the Doctor isn't immediately familiar with all of the languages or knows all of the rules of the domain? Like, give me that. And that's I'm so ecstatic to be given that Doctor Who back, that a Doctor Who of possibility, of wonder, of what the hell is going on here. Like, yeah, Jeff, go for it.
It's also nice to sit. My favourite version of the Doctor is the explorer, the adventurer, the one whose eyes light up at the wonder of the universe. And it's moments and stories like that where you see that happen as well. So that's why it works for me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it is both exciting and terrifying, and it can be both of those things.
And then, we just had back-to-back episodes where he had no idea what to do.
Yep.
He had nothing. I don't know. He's a god. He's, I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
And that for me is one of the, you know me, Ross, and I don't know if you've heard our last couple episodes, Jeff, but one of my big things is, like, I love to think about, what is this sci-fi fantasy story telling us? What is it big theming us about? Oh. And for me, this big theme is, like, it's something we've all dealt with in these last, 3 or 4 years with COVID and, the whole everything he talks about the explosion of my opinion media.
Yes.
It's like it's change is happening all the time, and we are not dealing with it. We are not taking any time to, like, figure out, what does this mean for us? How do we slow down and like reconfigure? How do we, like,
and then move forward
reset
as a species?
Yes. And I feel like that is one of the big themes here, and that is one of the things that the 14th Doctor era, all too brief as it has been, like, every single episode, as you were just saying, like, every single episode, the Doctor is like, I don't know what's happening here. And, the fact that he keeps saying that over and over again, is not, for him, he feels it's a weakness. But it's Donna that is the great thing about the companion, is that, in previous times, Donna, at the end of, like, the Runaway Bride, said to him, I think you need to find someone to travel with because you can't be on your own. Here, again, instead of telling us that, you're showing us that, because whether it's Donna or the 15th Doctor, they're both there to tell the second Tenant Doctor, look, dude, just everything is changing. You just have to, like, sit down and, like, take it in, and we're here to help you with that. I love that too, because it's about community.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about me, my opinion, I'm right all the time. It's like, you've got to learn to ask other people for input.
It's about conversation. It's about talking. It's about sharing and hearing.
Yeah.
Just as importantly.
Yeah. I love the fact that, that what the Toymaker had done was make everybody right.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of like, it's a good thing. Someone had posted, and I can't find it. I thought I saved it on Twitter, but they said that first episode was this, second episode this, and the third episode was heal yourself. Yeah. It was like one, heal this, heal that. And it was very true, because new Doctor Who, and I think this is what Davies is coming back to, realizing, one, he had just done a bunch of heavy shit.
Yeah.
And he probably I want to go do Doctor Who and I'm going to do something joyful. Just been spent the last decade doing some really important stuff. I want to do something. It's important in a different way. And
it's not that there wasn't moralizing in this episode. People criticize the Chibnall era for being, hammering messages, Jesus. And but the Doctor in this episode, like, goes off on that rant in unit headquarters about, all you humans, you don't need any help being angry at each other. You don't need any help abusing each other. But I don't mind it when Doctor Who gets sort of over the top, pointing to the audience every once in a while, and I'm glad that RTD did it here, because it's another one of the big themes for me is one of my favorite authors, Southern Gothic author Flannery O'Connor, once wrote that for the hard of hearing you have to shout, and for the almost blind you have to draw large and startling pictures. And I feel like when Doctor Who moralizes, that's what it's doing. It's like, hey kids, here's our G.I. Joe lesson for this week, and you can take it for what it's worth, but learn, like, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of the thing here as well.
Yeah. I think that it was very topical, but it ended on such. Shooty came out as just, one, he's fully formed, which is refreshing, So we're gonna get to see him on his first real adventure. Mm-hmm. But he's just so. I mean, he hugs himself, he kisses himself, he goes, "Man, you fixed me. You've done all the work. I'm done. I'm
good.
The
work. Yep.
You now
rehab out of order.
You can go rest." And I kind of like that. And I just saw he was just so joyful. I like the split of the clothes, as weird as it was to see the Doctor running around in his tighty whities. It was odd, but I did like the point. And they played it the Doctor Who show, the two Australian guys. I haven't listened to a lot of their episodes, but one of them goes because made me think that 14 was going commando at that point because they split the clothes. But I like that. I like the joy of it. I wanted to bring up something for Jack, me and him, well, being older Doctor Who fans, is I love Mel back.
Oh, God, yeah.
She got to use a fucking computer, and she got to do something. And she got to dance and sing. I loved it.
I can't claim credit for this, but someone said on Twitter that's because she was given a character to play and not just pushed onto set and told be Bonnie Langford in Doctor Who. Yep. And that's absolutely right, because Bonnie Langford is an astounding actress. Yeah. But if she's not given an initial direction about what her character is, like in the 80s, and she was just basically told, go on set and act away.
And scream in the key of E.
This time she was written with consideration and thought in mind, and the difference is like night and day. And I love Mel, and I loved Mel in the 80s as well, because she's the companion that wants to be there out of pretty much all of them in the 80s.
All of them.
Yeah.
And for all the going back to the show, mentioning Sablon Blood's dying, stepping on a whiskey bottle, her going, the redhead joke, because she goes, I was the first redhead.
Forgot Turlo.
Oh, that's
right.
Well,
I think I took that line as more like
Liz.
I think more
Liz
she was.
Liz is a redhead.
I feel like more like she was just sticking up for herself. I don't think there was like canonical implications.
Yeah.
She's like, of us, I was the first.
Yeah.
The other thing I loved about Mel was the sassiness when she's holding the new Gotwood Doctor, and she's like, "You are beautiful," and Tennant's like, "Still beautiful, right?" And she's like. She's like, the way she just says, yeah. I'm just like, that is so. She was so dear and so adorable.
And I know
my thing about Mel though goes back to that idea of, people complaining that the past of the show wasn't honored. Where, for my money, like literally the entire show got a shout out. The entire history of the show got a shout out in this episode, from the Toymaker representing the 60s to Unit representing the 70s, Mel standing in for the 80s, the Spice Girls, weirdly enough, standing in for the 90s. Like, I love that Russell has this real affection for, think back to the End of the World, putting on B. Spears. Like, there's this as a classic Earth ballad. But, having the Spice Girls come in to rep for the 90s is kind of brilliant. And then, of course, the puppet show, you get the history of the show up until then. So, like, the entire history of the show was definitely covered, even if Martha didn't get specifically a shout out, or like your favorite person didn't get.
She had a good
everything
exit.
Everything was represented here.
Yeah.
If you take the power of the Doctor through to the Giggle, I mean, you've got a joyous celebration of Doctor Who. Just wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow for you in 4 hours. You can do it on a Sunday afternoon.
You could watch them as a 4-episode season. Yeah. It would all work thematically.
And the other thing is, like, didn't the Three Doctors actually come out in like 72? Like, wasn't it a year early for the celebration?
Yeah.
People forget.
It was the first story.
Just because it's the 60th anniversary right now, it doesn't have to be celebrated this moment.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everyone got a piece of the pie, and I love that.
I want to talk. I want to touch base on Neil Patrick Harris as
yes.
I mean, he's huge famous over here, Jeff. And, I mean, Is he as big? He's well known in England?
He's fairly well known. I mean, We had Dougie Hauser. We had Starship Troopers.
Harold and Kumar. Everyone
Harold
had
and
Harold
Kumar.
and Kumar.
Oh, that's one of my.
Exactly, yeah.
That is when I fell in love with him, when he played that
How I Met
awful
Your Mother.
drug-addicted version of himself.
We get all your shows. So
Okay.
We're sound. We know Neil Patrick
Okay,
Harris.
but I watched the behind-the-scene things. Thank you, Melvin, for the login. That he had no concept of that song before he was asked to do it,
Girls.
because it's not. But I mean, they weren't as big here.
Yeah.
They weren't as big
He
here.
may not have. But
everybody in England knew
the
that.
master in his gold tooth knew all about the Spice Girls.
But that he listened to that over and over again, and it was when he was in England, it was his alarm clock wake up. Just to get it ingrained, and at the end of the little blurb, he goes, and I like it.
Well, speaking of that, though, because that is an important sort of tangent that I wanted to bring up, which was the idea of the Giggle itself. When the Toymaker goes back to 1925 and sort of plants that in the first television transmission, when I was watching it the first time, I was thinking of it as like, it's really annoying to listen to that noise over and over again. I'm like, it's kind of like an alarm clock, but my alarm, I don't know about y'all, I never change it, even though I hate it. So like every morning I hear the same noise, and I'm like, God damn it, I hate that noise. But
mine
I never
is
make the
awful.
effort to
It's a
change
god
it.
awful
So like
sound.
there's like that repetition that really starts to grind on you after a while, so that you hate the sound of it. Like I just love that idea that the Giggle is sort of like an alarm clock in that way, is that this like strange noise that you hear it all the time, and it's slowly driving you absolutely bonkers, but you don't like do anything to change it. I love that.
Yeah.
And what you said, that just goes right to what NPH was talking about, is that he had it as his alarm. That's crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to know how they got him. I really was that Davies going.
He was in It's a Sin.
Oh, was he? See, I haven't watched it. I was working in a gay theater company during the AIDS crisis, and I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to watch people die of it, because I have friends that pass.
And that happens he does die very early in the series of AIDS. So his character. So that's how. That's how he had
I didn't know he was in
He had the inside.
All right.
Yeah, he had the inside.
Well, that's very cool. I like that. I mean, overall, let's just kind of go to overall. Overall, I really loved it. It was nice to have Donna back. It was nice to have Donna figure out the laugh. The whole family, I really liked the whole family. I like that. I do like that warm, fuzzy ending in France where they're all sitting around the table having a conversation. Mad Aunt Mel, Auntie Mel. I think that's great. Because now we see what they cut. I want to bring this up because there were films where they had Cribbins in the riot scenes, and Sylvia was there, and fans took pictures of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that all had to be cut and re-edited and kind of like have his voice and have somebody else in the chair, and you don't see him real well. And Colonel Ibram, get him out of, that stuff, which was nice. And you still hear his voice, and he's in the backyard shooting the moles, and the doctor's giving the moles with force field. It was very nice. And I liked that a lot. I liked it. And I really like Donna in this one. I always like Donna. She's one of my favorite Modern Who companions because they were just buddies. And that always made me happy. But that she figures out the musical notes because I had to teach my daughter how to play the goddamn recorder. Which is every parent's living nightmare in kindergarten. Oh, crap, they're handing out the recorders. We gotta, once they don't need it, we gotta throw it away. My mother was like on kids 5 and 6 were like, crap, again?
That part was also a nice little throwback to an episode that everyone loves, The Doctor's Daughter, where she figures out the numbering system is a dating system for how the corridors are put together. So it's a nice little key to her the functioning of her mind and how she puts things together.
Yeah, and that Donna's not as stupid. They've never, Donna doesn't have. The only
person who thinks Donna's stupid is Donna.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think she really does anymore.
She doesn't believe it. No,
she doesn't believe it
because
she thinks it, but she doesn't believe it. That's something.
But the thing is, she in 2007, 2008, maybe she did, but like this is 2023. Like that
she's
is
just ready to
her character. Her character growth she is the rock for this episode, for this series. Like she is the most dependable calming influence.
She's
Not that she doesn't freak out from time to time, but like we all do. So I love that she's able
evolved.
to do that and serve that role and be that.
She's definitely a more
stability.
evolved Donna in this series, because she's the rock of that family. She's gone through her child transitioning and is fearless about it. You know what I mean? Like, never crossed her mind not to do the right thing and support her child. And if you fuck with my kid, I'm taking you down.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still got the wit and the snark, but she's also take charge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I always kind of liked her as a companion anyway, and I really like that part of this. I like that her and Mel bonded.
Yes.
You know?
Immediately. Yep.
I am more and more in love with Shirley with each appearance, because she was great when Donna goes, "Oh, was that comment wrong?" A little bit.
Well, I mean, and that's one of the good things about Donna also, is that we are so familiar with her. We are so comfortable with her. She is such the best friend role, is that she can say things that could be considered a little bit provocative or a little bit envelope pushing, but it's okay, because that is how you act with your best friend. You know, that is, you're allowed to tease your best friend in ways that you wouldn't tease like a stranger about something like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a privilege that Donna has earned.
Yeah.
Is that she can say, by putting these things in her mouth, it's okay. It's sanitized a little bit, because we know that her
heart's in the right place.
She's coming from a good, exactly.
Heart's
she's
in the
coming
right
from
place.
the best place.
Yeah. She's loving and nurturing. It was nice. It was nice to see it was nice to see the families back. I said when we talked about Star Beast, that I really like that Sean got something to do. So we really know what kind of guy Sean is now. That he's just, I love my wife, I love my kid. The world's all right. The rest of the stuff is useless. You know, he's just a good guy. You know, the perfect guy for Donna. It's like, she's going to say horrible things to me, but it doesn't matter. I think she's amazing and she loves me. So it doesn't really matter. So, but that was cool. I wish we could have had a little more Wilfred, but.
Of course.
Yeah. But.
And I don't know about y'all, but I thought it looked very clear to me, and this is a nitpick also, in that scene where they're in chaos in the streets and Donna's asking the captain to get him away, that was clearly a body double. Like, there was no, it was not.
Oh, yeah. They just,
that made me
there
a
was
little
nothing.
bit sad,
it did. It just made they go. We
that
had
is,
some.
again, a very tiny nitpick.
Yeah, so
it just made me sad.
I'm glad they got him in, and they could salvage some of it, so we could get a goodbye. So in the last episode. So Jeff, overall, my question isn't about how you thought of this little mini season, but overall, how do you think this mini season is transitioning? Do you feel of it as they're moving to a different place?
This is goodbye to the Doctor that we followed since the Timeless Child, since William Hartnell, it's goodbye to that Doctor that hasn't stopped since they landed in our universe. It's a chance for them to step back and go, I can enjoy every single thing I've ever fought for a billion years, as David Tennant says. It's funny, I've not seen many people comment on that.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I'm a billion years old. But it feels like that for the Doctor. It must do. It must do. And it doesn't really matter because they've fought for so long, for so hard. You've got the Timeless Child, the Division. You've got everything that the first Doctor went through, being completely unaware of that. You've got all of that trauma, all of that excess, and you've got everything since the Time War. Just think how much the Doctor's been through in modern Doctor Who. And you add all of that together, and they deserve a happy ending. Yeah. And if this Doctor goes off and decides to curate a museum, then I'm perfect.
Oh, you beat me to it! Oh, you beat me to it! That was my thing. It's like, maybe this is the curator.
This is where I'd very easily be, and I'd be very happy with that. And I don't care if we never see them again.
Yep.
Because
you don't need
Shooty's
to.
Doctor is still that Doctor, but he's that Doctor reborn, like a phoenix rising from the ashes in the most spectacular manner. And that's what this is. This is a reborn Doctor going out fresh into the universe, but with all of that knowledge.
I love it. I agree wholeheartedly. It is, and I'll let Melvin have the last word before we get ready to go. Is I just want to say that it is a clean, hard reset, and he's doing the exact opposite of what he did the first time.
I like the parallel of him bringing back Doctor Who, and it's a Doctor already burdened with trauma, and then letting the Doctor loose, free of all trauma. I love that.
I love
that bookend.
You know, people said he's not going to do anything different. And I've always said he's Russell T Davies. He's always going to do something different. He's probably one of the top 3 British television writers of all time, and probably in the top 10 worldwide all time, just skill set wise. And that he reinvented the same show 2 times in 18 years and did the opposite the opposite the second time is amazing. And I have a feeling that, because they've said no Daleks in the first season, and they're already filming the second season, is I think he's going to be very no Doctor Who history in this first season. And I'm thinking that's a good thing. The big bad may be an old one, the Master or something, but he's not going to go, we're going to have a Dalek story, we're going to have a Cyberman story, we're going to have a Yeti story, we're going to have any of this. We're going to battle God.
But that ruined Doctor Who when Chris Chibnall did it.
I know. But see, they're both right. It's good.
I hope everyone knows that was heavily less sarcasm.
Really? No. But
I love Series 11.
I do too.
Me too.
Doctor Who. So
no, because again, you need to do that. The main characters, the Doctor and the companions. I mean, I want to see Davros. I want to see this new Davros. I want to see the Daleks sometimes, but I want them to come when they're needed.
Yeah.
Not just because it's time.
There's no urgent cry for it.
No, there's not. You know.
I want new big bads. I want new villains for a new Doctor, for a new era, for a new universe. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Melvin, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is the fulfillment of what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. That this is a new, like Jeff was just saying, this is a new start. This is like, it felt like when I first finished watching the Giggle, that it is the same feeling I had back in the day when I would, my Nintendo wouldn't work, and I would pull out the cartridge, blow on it, stick it back in, and hit the reset button. Like it's a fulfillment of everything that has come before it, as Jeff was saying. Like it's also a revisiting of that end of the Day of the Doctor when he says, "I'm going home the long way round." Like it's just it's not the home that we wanted. Like it's not the home that we thought it was going to be. You know, we thought he was going back to Gallifrey because we have this like piles and piles and 60 years of lore and expectations. And it feels like, you know, the bi-generation scene is also like a retake on what happened in the Pating episode where everyone was making fun of the man giving birth. But that's what that is. It's like you're cutting the umbilical on a new age. You know, we're giving birth to a new Doctor Who, like a new vision of what Doctor Who can be. And Jeff, we were talking about trauma earlier, and we've all been talking about sort of how this season and mini season has sort of looked back at, you know, who the Doctor is and who he wants to be, and like working out problems, working through the flux, like working through all this stuff. And for me, like thinking about it, this sort of mini season is also, you know, it almost is a sort of advertisement for therapy in a way. It's also like a weird sort of like take on Freudian psychology in that in Beep the Meep in the Star Beast, it's like the uncanny, because it's like a doll that is, you know, it's just something that should be comforting and familiar to us suddenly turns terrifying. And then in Wild Blue Yonder, you get the idea of the doppelganger, the dark double, which, you know, can be a twin Doctor. Obviously, it was in the episode, but in this one as well, like the Toymaker is a type of the Doctor, you know, a powerful being from beyond the universe who can do strange things. And like, what does it look like when it's flipped on its side? Because that's what their confrontation is. He's like, when he has that sort of master moment with the Toymaker, and he says, "You could be good. We could travel the world. We could travel the universe together." But the Toymaker isn't interested in that, you know. He is, in as much as like the Doctor is in a way in this mini season a look at how Freudian psychology works. The Toymaker sort of represents Nietzschean psychology. You know, he's beyond good and evil, and you know, I feel like that moving forward is, again, we don't have to like lock ourselves into one mode of history, into one way of thinking about what Doctor Who is. We don't have to saddle ourselves into chronology, like Jeff was saying about the timeless child. Like, this is the thing. Like, now every Doctor, apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but apparently on the Invision commentary, RTD said that at that moment of the bi-generation, every Doctor had a bi-generation backwards in time, so they all get to live out their lives in whatever ways. Which
it's interesting he said that, because for years, since I saw the 5 Doctors on transmission when I was a kid, I've been fascinated by the concept of the Doctor carrying on in their previous form past regeneration. I will take that as Russell's own headcanon. Until it's stated firmly on screen that that's what happened, then I'm quite happy to just know that the Doctor will always exist in every form that they've ever had, and that's my own headcanon. And that gives me comfort.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like no matter what your headcanon is, I feel like that's the other thing that this episode and this mini season does, is like whatever you think Doctor Who is, it is that. It can be that, because this chapter is now closed, So
all of the
fandom
arguments prove that, because Doctor Who is something to everyone. If you care about Doctor Who, then you care about it on your own personal level. And no one else is ever going to have that same perspective. Exactly the same.
We've all had a different journey how we discovered it. You know what I mean? Jeff, yours was math magical. Leisure High.
Oh, beautiful
Jeff
mathematical.
Converted me to lover of season 18. Absolutely love it now.
Because it's beautiful.
It is a great season because of that. Because it's I think it's because of that. But everybody has their own journey. We all discovered it at different times in our life, and it all means something different to us. And I think that's when fans start arguing what's right and what's wrong, it's just such a waste of oxygen and time.
It is.
But this does give you the ability to do one. In my head canon, Tennant lives, that his Doctor stays, and once that all the noble temple whatever family passes away and he's left alone, he regenerates, goes back in time, and just starts working for UNIT as the curator. That's my head canon, because that's what I started doing. Oh, that'd be great if he's the first curator. He regenerates into an old baker, and then another old baker.
Do you know what else I'd also just add to that is that I think this is a chance for the TARDIS to take a fucking break as well and have some time off. So she is now only going to take the Doctor
to nice
places, all of those holidays that they've yearned for.
She's like, no. This is for Mel. I'm taking Mel someplace she wants to go. I'm taking Rose where she wants to go. You shut up and just be the tour guide. You're on vacation. She's just putting him in his place. That's a great one. I love it. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm glad I watched. I had to get up this morning early to edit a podcast and then do a work call. And I went, I've got to watch it again, because I only watched it once last night. I couldn't do the back-to-back because I really wanted it to kind of sink in. So I wanted to watch it this morning. And I'm glad I did, because I really liked it last night, but now it's kind of like, okay, now I know why I like it. Now I see where he's going. Now I kind of, I could take a breath. I could focus on something. And, and I kind of went back and watched bits and pieces, like, oh, I'm going to watch this scene again and then move on. Like the stuff in the hallway was freaking me out, and I kind of wanted to watch it a little bit, back up and watch it again. So, it was nice to see it. So overall, I really liked it, and I'm very excited for Christmas. And that they're gonna battle goblins in a flying pirate ship. I'm in.
It's Doctor Who.
And they're gonna sing. The only thing that get too bad Dame Edna's dead, so they can replace.
You know what? I thought of the Hobbit straight
away. I was like, oh, too bad Barry Humphries is dead. He could sing another Goblin song.
And I saw in one of the previews, like the Goblin King, maybe it looked like it's just like a giant puppet. Which, please give me giant. I'm so excited. I got to see the Giggle 3 times. Once as God intended, which is under the influence. once for sort of with clarity, and a third time to just sort of like look at what was going on. And I just love that, RTD came back to set Doctor Who free, and I think that is such a gift to all of us, including all of the new fans who, if they only tune in on Christmas Day for the first time, will see a Doctor Who unencumbered by anything and can just join the ride in their time.
Yeah.
It's the true reboot that everyone has said other things have been, but they never really
No,
have
they're
been.
not. It's like they're 3 episodes in, and you're like, eh.
If we're 3 episodes in and we get Daleks and Cybermen, then maybe the experiment has failed a little bit and it hasn't done quite what it set out to do. But I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I don't think that's why he hired Chidi. I think he hired Chidi for a reason and I'm seeing it because I've not watched Sex Education, and I haven't seen the Barbie movie yet, so I don't really know his work. So it's fresh, and it's just like when Jodie came, and I got to say this, that a whole segment of the population could see themselves in the Doctor for the first time. Yep. And now we get it again.
Yep.
We get to see it. And everything that he's done with Shirley for Ruth Malladay. Is it Malladay? Madeley. All right. And the scene where the step of the TARDIS turned into a ramp, I was all in. It's because he is doing what he's always done, because he's a very colorblind caster. He always has been. He didn't,
I do wish Ruth Madeley's character had been Hebe from the Sixth Doctor.
I haven't even listened to that. I haven't even heard that yet.
She'd have been so retroactively mad at the Sixth Doctor for not installing that.
You know what? Big Finish will have Ruth and Shirley meet.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Hebe and Shirley meet. Maybe, but that, this is someone's first Doctor Who. And that's the joy of everybody. It's why I always kind of ask people, what was your first Doctor Who? Because it's telling, but it's also special to everybody. Mine's Ark in Space. I'm lucky it wasn't Robot. I think in some ways, because I really love Ark in Space. But I don't know if I would have gotten the same thing having to deal with understanding Unit right away.
Yeah.
And
this can function both ways. Like, whether this is someone's first Doctor Who or Christmas is, like, this can function as a bridge season for classic fans or new fans into the new series, or, again, people can just start at Christmas. Like, this is telling us that this is whatever you need it to be. And I love that about it.
Yeah.
I love that Russell can come give us 3 hours of incredible drama and say, you can watch this or you can't, or you cannot, and you're still going to be okay when the next Doctor starts. Like, this is a little bit of something for everyone. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love the accessibility of it.
I want to go back to something you said the last couple, that you love how much he trolls people. That he is.
Yes.
And Jeff said yesterday in our conversation.
We had that
conversation yesterday. Yes. That Jeff is like, he's on the internet. You don't know it's him, but he's there listening. And he did it again because he says this is huge, him changing it. And he's not like, because everybody was guessing, they're going to have everything. One person I heard, and I just went, you're a moron. This guy was like, his take was, everything since the Celestial Child wasn't real. I mean, it's like, that's fan wank, bad fan wank plotting, and I don't think he was going to do it. But it was, no, I'm just taking all the moroseness that I put into it in 2005 out of it. I'm just making it lighter. That's all I'm doing. And I think when he says that thing that every Doctor bifactored, he's trolling people. He's poking the bear because it's entertaining to him. It's like, it is what it is to you.
Full well what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah. And it also again, as far as the liberation of Doctor Who goes, it also means you don't have to explain when you bring an old Doctor back for an adventure, or you don't have to explain why Tom Baker sounds older in Big Finish. Like, no, everything is possible now. Everything counts, and I love that because it's everything from Big Finish and comic books to fan art on the internet, where I just the very famous one where they showed John Bishop on one of a talk show, the picture of Dan and Carbonista. Like, all of it counts. Whatever you want Doctor Who to be, it is that, and that's my favorite thing about the bi-generation thing, is that it's it's everyone's Doctor Who counts. Your fan fiction counts, and you can do that. You can create Doctor Who to be whatever you need it to be, and I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I do. I love it, and I love that the Christmas special will just be an adventure. It's not the Doctor finding his footing.
The multiple bifurcations throughout time.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. Hey, thank you both for coming on. Jeff, it was amazing to chat to you yesterday. It was great to have you back on the podcast. It's been a while, so.
Yeah, it's been too long. I may pop up here and there again.
All right.
You never know.
There's some.
Maybe after Christmas.
After that Christmas was great, and also, the last season we did was season 17, wasn't it? I think it was that we covered season 17, and I another season redo would be good because that one was amazing.
That's not a bad show. That's not a bad show.
No, because that was, we had a blast because we were both surprised that both of us picked Creature from the Pit.
It was our favourite.
I did. Well, was it before I did
season 17?
Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
Jeff, it was such a pleasure to meet you.
Yes,
Ross, thank you again for having me on.
We followed each other on Twitter for a long time, but nice to get a chance to speak to you and hear your thoughts.
Yeah, yes.
This was such a pleasure, and thank you again, Ross, for letting me be a part of this. I too will probably return like the repressed. Give you another little Freudian thing there, because I will be returning soon with the King's Demons.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I haven't. Yeah, we recorded that. It was him trying to convert me to the King's Demon. So that's a couple episodes away. Got Hand of Fear and then that.
I quite like the King's Demon.
I know you do. I knew you did.
You're gonna love this because I made my own 2023 remix of the King's song, so that is still to come as well.
Oh nice.
Yes, that's going to be that is going to be a little surprise. To get to hear Melvin sing the song from the King's Demon.
I made a sort of Donnie Darko-ified Gary Jules Mad World remix of
My
the
Lord.
King's song.
I've got to hear that now.
It's gonna be up in a few weeks.
Yep.
So
thank
folks,
y'all so much. Thank y'all at home for listening as well.
All right, folks. As always, hey, thank you for listening. We'll probably before Christmas I'll drop Hand of Fear. So until then, we look forward to seeing you somewhere in time or space.